Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into something that gets misdiagnosed, usually personally, all the time in the neurodivergent community. How many times have you beat yourself up for procrastinating when something else entirely was going on? If you've stared at a task for hours, feeling paralyzed, and assumed you were just being lazy. Spoiler alert, you weren't being lazy. Let's talk about what's really happening when decision fatigue masquerades as procrastination. Hi, if you don't know me, I'm Shannon Schroeder, the F-Bomb coach, and I help ADHD women build sustainable systems for their businesses so that they can calm some of the chaos that they're living with. So let me paint you a picture. You sit down to finally update your website. That's the task. You know what you need to do. It's been on your list for weeks. You're motivated. You have the time. You open your laptop and nothing. You stare. You scroll. You suddenly remember that you need to reorganize your sock drawer. 2 hours later, you haven't touched the website and you're convinced that you're the world's biggest procrastinator. But here's the thing. You might not have been procrastinating. Your brain hit a wall of decisions that it couldn't process and it shut down. That's decision fatigue, and it's sneaky as hell. From the outside, and honestly from the inside too, decision fatigue often looks identical to procrastination. You're avoiding the task, you're doing literally anything else, and you feel guilty about it. But procrastination is usually about avoiding some discomfort or delaying something unpleasant. Decision fatigue is your brain saying, I don't have the processing power to handle all of these choices right now. So it's not avoidance, it's overwhelm. Your brain is being protective. So let's go back to that simple task of updating your website. You think it's one task because you put it on your to-do list as one thing, update website. But this is what your brain sees. Which page do I start with? What actually needs updating? Should I rewrite this section or just tweak it? Do I need new photos? Which photos? Should I update my bio? How should I structure the services page? What's my messaging now? Has my brand voice changed? Do I need to update the contact form? Should I add that new testimonial? And on and on and on. Your brain looks at this avalanche of decisions and decides to do what any sensible brain would do. It nopes right out of there. And here's where it starts to get really messy. You don't know you're experiencing decision fatigue. It hits, you don't recognize it. You just know that the task isn't getting done. So you tell yourself you're procrastinating, which brings in the shame, which brings in self-criticism. Why can't I just do this? Everyone else can update their website. What's wrong with me? This shame actually makes everything worse because stress depletes your cognitive resources even further. Now you have even less capacity for decision making, which leads to more of an avoidance, which leads to more shame, and it's a brutal cycle that you just keep getting stuck in. So how do you tell the difference? With decision fatigue, you genuinely can't figure out where to start. Every option feels equally overwhelming. Your mind goes blank when you think about the task. You might find yourself asking over and over again, what should I do? With procrastination, you know what you need to do. You just don't want to do it. You're actively choosing other activities. Deadline pressure will often help, and you have a clear preference for doing something else. Decision fatigue feels like paralysis. Procrastination is avoidance. They're related, but different. So here's a secret weapon against decision fatigue: pre-decisions. Make decisions when you actually have the cognitive capacity to make them, and then lock them in so that future you doesn't have to remake them. What do I mean by that? Create templates for recurring tasks. Build SEO, standard operating procedures for your regular activities. Establish default choices like I always work on client work in the morning, or I always use this color palette for social media. Set up if-then rules. If it's Monday, then I work on content creation. When you remove the need to decide, you remove the added drain on your cognitive resources. So let's talk about strategically reducing decision points. First, limit your options whenever you can. Research shows that having more than 3 choices significantly increases decision fatigue. Create rotation systems, like a content calendar that tells you what type of post goes on what day. You want to do that for all of your work. Build in choice menus. Have a low energy day menu that tells you exactly what tasks to choose from when you're not feeling full strength. Implement a good enough standard instead of perfect standards. This eliminates the need for endless optimization decisions, right? Decide this is what good enough looks like when I'm having one of those days. I can still get things done. It is good enough. And I don't have to decide more. And build decision trees. If A, then do B. If C, then do D. It takes all of the thinking out of it. You just run on autopilot. Your body often knows you're in decision fatigue before your conscious mind does. Like your brain does. Your brain picks up on all those things. Just like you looked at that one task and saw one thing, your brain saw all of the things. But your conscious mind takes a little bit longer to catch up. And so your body will start to feel it first. So learn to recognize these signals. Mental fog, or that feeling like your brain is made of cotton. Physical tension or heaviness, especially in your shoulders or head. Increased irritability. Everything annoys you. Craving simple or familiar activities. Suddenly you're reorganizing your pantry because it sounds amazing. Difficulty focusing on the task itself. Noticing your breathing has gone shallow. When you catch these early, you can intervene before you hit full paralysis. So what do you do when you've hit paralysis or you feel it coming on? How do you help? You need to be able to restore your decision-making capacity. When you recognize that you're in decision fatigue, you need to do something. A 10-minute walk without any input, no podcast, no phone, just walking can reset your system. Physical movement that doesn't require decision helps. You put on music and do a dance party in your living room. Completing a totally mindless task gives your brain a break while allowing you to still feel productive. Protein and water, because your brain needs fuel. And let's face it, most of us do not drink enough water during the day. Sometimes a brief nap or just laying down can work wonders. You know what doesn't work? Scrolling social media. That gives you more decision making. Gathering more information about the task because you're creating more options. Researching what to do. Again, that's more decision making. It's just wearing a different hat. Because you're like, oh, but I'm gathering information. I'm researching. No, you're giving your brain more things to think about. The best way to handle decision fatigue is to prevent it in the first place. So you want to be able to give yourself as many ways as possible to reduce the decisions you make. You want to protect that decision-making energy because it is a precious resource for you because you start with a lower amount to begin with. Things like creating a morning routine. That's the same every day. You don't waste decisions on whether you should shower or eat breakfast first. My day looks the same every day. I get up, I make sure everybody who needs to be out the door is out the door, and I get to my computer and I clear all of my inboxes, all of the different email accounts. And then I jump into work. And what I work on might vary, but then at 10 o'clock, right around then, I go upstairs, I make a bagel. Same thing every day. Not exciting, but I don't have to think about it. Meal plan or create a meal rotation so you're not deciding what to eat 3 times a day. There is nothing worse than that dreaded, oh my gosh, it's 5 o'clock. What are we having for dinner? Every weekend, my kids make a meal plan. Like we have favorite meals stuck to the side of the fridge. I have a menu board up like for her grocery list so that throughout the week, if they notice things are missing, it's on the board. I don't even have to make a grocery list. And then they say, okay, this is what we're going to have for dinner this week. I don't have to think about it. Now my children are older, so if you have a 6-year-old, it might be a little bit tougher. Mine are adults. But I don't have to think about it. I know what food to pull out of the freezer. I know what I'm making. No decision for me whatsoever. Build a wardrobe or wardrobe capsule or create some kind of uniform for yourself. Bill Jobs wore a black turtleneck every day of his life. It was his thing. Make something your thing. Make it easy for you. Batch similar decisions together. So make all your content decisions in one sitting, all of your scheduling decisions in one sitting. When you're doing the same kind of thing, even though you're making more of them, it's less draining because it's the same kind of decision. Create a decision-free wind down routine at night. Just like your morning routine, you don't have to think about it. Do it at night where you don't have to think about what you're going to do. Just relax. If you take the decisions out of it, you have more time to relax. This allows you to save your decision-making energy for the things that actually matter. And let's talk about about changing the story that you tell yourself. When you find yourself avoiding a task, instead of immediately jumping to, I'm procrastinating or I'm so lazy, try asking, am I experiencing decision fatigue? Does this task have hidden decision points I haven't accounted for? Instead of, why can't I do this? Try, how can I reduce the decision points in this task? Or what decisions can I pre-make right now? This isn't positive thinking fluff. This is accurate diagnosis that leads to effective solutions. This is you saying, this is what the problem really is. Let me figure out how to make it better. You can't solve a problem that you've misidentified. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this helpful, like it, subscribe so that you know when our next video dropped. Take a step back and reduce your decisions.